Hello and welcome to an overview of how you can use vCenter Operations Management Suite to solve problems in your private cloud or virtualized environment. In this demonstration, we'll focus on a key new feature in vCenter Operations Manager 5.6, Intelligent Operations Groups and Policies. Intelligent Operations Groups provide you more insight into the health, risk, and efficiency of your resources by different views, such as by application, line of business, production workload, configuration types, or by any other relationship type you'd like to define. Group memberships are updated to reflect changes in the environment dynamically, so you can see more accurate information in real time, thus enabling you to better align your IT activities with your business teams and operations. The 5.6 release of vCenter Operations Manager adds a new Group tab here in the left-hand navigation that shows you all the groups that exist in your vCenter Operations Manager environment. In this frame, we can see the two different types of groups that vCOps manages. There are groups that are automatically created based on the integration with other components in the vCOps management suite. For example, here we see the application groups based on application services discovered by vCenter Infrastructure Navigator, or VIN. And here we see the machine groups created in vCenter Configuration Manager, or VCM, which are also automatically created in vCOps. The folders that we see in vCenter Server are also automatically created as groups in vCenter Operations Manager. In addition to groups automatically created from VIN and VCM, we can also manually create our own business groups. For example, we can create business groups for specific application services, like database or web servers in our environment. Or we could create groups based on the different departments in our organization, such as finance or marketing. Or if we wanted to organize around service levels, we could create custom groups based on each service level, such as gold, silver, and bronze. Now, let's look at how we can manage performance, capacity, and configuration changes for our custom application groups in vCenter Operations Manager. And a little later, we'll go through how easy it is to create custom groups and associate policies with those groups. Let's begin by focusing on a specific application here. This is a SharePoint application which has been discovered by vCenter Infrastructure Navigator, or VIN. As you know, as we select a component in the left-hand side of the navigation, the right frame of vCOps will update with the dashboard view which shows us the health, the risk, and the efficiency scores associated with that application group. The health level map shows us 4 different component VMs that are part of the application group. The visualization for the risk and the efficiency scores show us how those scores have trended over the last 7 days. And as we scroll down, we can begin to see the other components or sub-badges that make up health, risk, and efficiency scores. We can also see the currently effective policies for this application group. We'll talk more about the group policies in a few minutes. The Environment tab provides us an overview of the entire environment on a single screen. For application groups, we can see that there is a specific area here for all the custom groups in our environment. In our case, the SharePoint application group has been highlighted, so we see its health as well as the workload, anomalies, and the fault score. We can also see the 4 component VMs that are part of this particular application group highlighted on the screen as well. The Members tab provides us a list of all the component objects that make up these application groups, the name of the parent object, as well as the effective policy associated with all the components. And as we click on the Relationships tab, we now see all the members that are part of this application group: the 2 web servers, the application server, and the database server virtual machines. Now, clicking on the Operations tab will provide us more details about the health score for this application group. For example, here we can see how the health score has trended over the last 6 hours. We can also see the key metrics associated with the health score. And on the right-hand side, we can see how the health score for this group population has changed over the last 6 hours, as well as details for all the component VMs and the health scores associated with those VMs. The Events tab allows us to correlate the change events for all the components in the application group with the health score for the group. For example, in this case, we can see the change events for the 2 web servers, Web 1 as well as Web 2. We can notice that the IIS service on Web Server 1 has been stopped. If we want to see further details about this change event, we simply click on the particular link here to launch the vCenter Configuration Manager console and look at the details for the change event. Looking at the change events for all the components in a group can help us more quickly drill down and troubleshoot performance issues. It will greatly reduce the amount of time it takes to resolve any performance issues associated with configuration changes. Similarly, the Planning Details tab shows us how the risk score has changed over the last 6 hours. It also includes population distribution over time, the risk scores, as well as the component virtual machines and their corresponding risk scores. The Alerts tab narrows down the number of active alerts to those that apply only to the specific applications group. Again, this can help us focus only on the specific alerts associated with the group we are concerned with at the time to help us troubleshoot performance issues more quickly. For example, in this case we can see that there is an active alert on the Web Server 2 VM that indicates the VM is experiencing 20% CPU stress. Now, so far we've looked at how the new Intelligent Group feature in vCOps allows us to manage performance, capacity, and configuration changes at the group level. Let's now look at how simple and easy it is to actually create the groups manually and associate policies with those groups. As we mentioned earlier, vCenter Operations Manager already has 2 different types of groups, one set that are automatically created by the different vCenter Operations Management Suite components, as well as user-defined group types. And of course, we can also create our own custom group type by just clicking on the plus icon. Let's call our custom group type Tier 1 Apps. Click OK, and we can see that the new group type has been populated in the list. Let's click Done to close this view, and now move on to creating a new group of our new group type. To create a new group, we can either click on the Create New Group icon at the bottom left-hand pane, or use the Create New Group item from the Actions drop-down list at the top of the screen. To create a new group, we'll need to provide a group name, an optional description, as well as the group type that we'd like to associate this group with. For our custom group, let's call this Tier 1 Apps. We'll provide a description, and we will associate this group with the newly created Tier 1 Apps group type. We can now associate a custom policy with this group. For now, let's just inherit the policy from the parent. Next, we'll show you how to create a custom policy and then associate that policy with this group. Now, we can add members to the group in 2 ways. We can either select the dynamic membership type, which will specify rules to create members, or we can explicitly select group members and add them to the group by choosing the Manual Membership tab. We can also choose to update the group members automatically. Now, if we unselect this checkbox, we'll need to explicitly upgrade any membership for the group from the Actions drop-down menu. For our group, we'll select the membership type as Dynamic and click Next. Now, we need to define the criteria we'll need to add members to our group. The criteria can be based on the type of the object or the different properties associated with the VM, host, cluster, or data stores, as well as the applications that are discovered by vCenter Infrastructure Navigator. For our group, let's click on Application, since we are creating a group for Tier 1 applications. And for this rules criteria, we're going to select all the Exchange applications running in our environment. If we'd like, we could also add another criterion for the group. For example, if we want to monitor only the VMs that are powered on. It's important to remember that an object must match all of the criteria in the rule set to become a member of that group. We can now preview to find out which objects match the criteria in the rule set. And with the criteria we have set for this group, we see that we have 2 Marketing Exchange VMs that are a member of our group. Let's now add another rule set that will include the SQL Server VMs in our environment to become part of this group also. To do that, we'll click the Application group, Application Rule, and then select Microsoft SQL Server from the drop-down list here. Again, we'll want to monitor only the VMs that are powered on. And we'll again click the Preview button to see the members that now qualify for our group. We can now see that a 3rd VM has been added to our group. In addition to selecting by criteria, you can also choose to always include or exclude certain objects from a group. For example, in our case, we'd like to exclude the management cluster where all of our infrastructure VMs are running. To do that, we can click the object from the hierarchy and click Add, then click Next. Here we can review the settings for our group, where we can see that we've created a Tier 1 Applications group that has been associated with the Tier 1 Apps group type. We've chosen to update the members of the group dynamically and chosen to include Exchange and the SQL Server applications running in our environment. And we have excluded the management cluster from the group and we can simply click Finish to have vCops create this group for us. Now, once the new group has been created, we can view the Dashboard tab for this group. Here we can see that the health, risk, and efficiency scores are still being calculated, which is why we see question marks for those scores. Now, as we scroll down, we'll see the current effective policy for this group is still the default policy. If we wish, this is where we can create a new policy for this configuration group. To make that new policy for this Tier 1 application group, let's click on the Configuration tab and go to the Management Policies section. Here, we'll see all the policies that already exist in our environment. We can create, edit, or delete policies from the menu here. Now remember that an object can be associated with multiple groups. In that case, the policy ranking here matters. The highest ranking policy will be the effective policy for that group. To create a new policy, let's click on the Create Policy icon. And we're going to call this policy Tier 1 Apps, and we'll clone this policy from the default policy here. We'll click Next, and this is where we get to associate the policies with the groups. Let's associate this policy with the Tier 1 Apps group that we just created. And as soon as the policy has been created, the policy association will become active and it becomes visible in the dashboard for the group. Next, we get to customize the badge thresholds, the capacity analytics, as well as other management settings for this group. This will allow us to set up different settings based on our different business needs. For example, for production workloads, we can set higher capacity buffers in order to accommodate usage spikes. Likewise, for a test or dev environment, we can disable any alerts in order to avoid unnecessary alert notifications. Here, as you can see, we're adjusting the threshold level for the values associated with the infrastructure. We can do a similar thing with the VM level badges as well as the group level badges as well. Now, let's go ahead and customize the capacity analytics setting. For example, in this case, since we are looking at Tier 1 applications, we'd like to consider stress as well as the reservations for CPU and memory when determining the capacity demand. We also want to take into account high availability configurations, as well as set buffers for headroom for any usage spikes for the Exchange or the database applications. Let's go ahead and customize our alerts. Let's enable additional alerts for time remaining and capacity remaining. We can click Next, and we'll make sure to choose the best fit method among all the forecasting methods. Now click Finish, and we can now see that the custom policy for this Tier 1 app has been created. We'll click Done to close the configuration window. And as we go back to the dashboard for our Tier 1 applications group, you can see that it's been updated to show our newly created policy is now our current effective policy. And as we scroll up, we'll see that vCenter Operations Manager has also started to calculate the health, risk, and efficiency scores for this particular group, which will become more accurate as it collects more data. In addition, you can also use the Actions drop-down menu to edit or delete groups, update group members in case you've chosen to explicitly update the members manually, as well as change the policies associated with any of the groups. So to recap, we've seen how intelligent operations groups provide you more insights into the health, risk, and efficiency of your resources. We've seen how you can manage performance, capacity, and configuration changes for a group regardless of whether it's automatically or manually created. And we've also seen how simple and easy it is to create business groups based on your specific needs and associate custom policies with those groups. For more information about the VC Operations Management Suite, please visit vmware.com. Thank you.